And Shabbat Shalom, everybody. This is Rob Skiba for the Virtual House Church, and I'm excited to be joined once again by John Hall of Now You See TV. Hey, John, are you there?
Yes, I am here. It's good
Awesome,
to be
bro.
back.
Yeah, sorry for the delay, everybody. I was in a mad rush to get here from, Granbury, Texas. It's about an hour and a half away, but during rush hour, so it was a rough deal. I just want to thank everybody for your prayers and well wishing and everything else. Everybody, there was a lot of encouraging words and prayers after last week's show, which was pretty rough. My uncle did end up passing away 2 days later. That was last Friday. He died on Sunday. So I did go out to Sukkot, out to California. Had an amazing time out there. It was absolutely fantastic, wonderful time, which was a nice refresher. I got to see my uncle on Saturday, so I did get to go there. I don't know how much he really understood, but he was still conscious and, as expressive as you can be under that much morphine and whatnot. But I was able to share with him everything I had wanted to share, and I'm choosing to believe that he did hear it. My mother got into town just in time, was able to spend time with him, was actually there with him when he passed. And my grandmother also got to be there, and Sheila. So really pretty much everybody that wanted to be there and could be there was there. So we were able to do everything we hoped to do. I was able to get all that done on Saturday and then get on a plane Sunday and head out to Sukkot, which was just a sweet kiss, honestly. It was a wonderful time with awesome people. I just want to give a shout out to Jacob and Jeanette Zaremba for hosting me and taking me out there and paying for my way to get there and giving me a really cool RV while I was there. And man, this was just an awesome Sukkot out there with I think it's called Growing in Torah Ministries. They teach Torah by way of agriculture, so it's a working farm all year long, and they take students in. I don't know how many they can host at one time, but I think they had like 7 that went through this cycle. They start at the beginning of the Hebrew calendar, the month of Passover, and go right through all 7 months, and ending with Sukkot. So that was really cool. Got to know a little bit about their ministry, not as much as I would have liked to, because I was multitasking and handling phone calls and stuff with family a lot during the time I was there. But I'm hoping to have Brian Barnes is his name. I think it's Brian Barnes, is the founder of Growing in Torah. So I'm hoping to have him on my radio show. He's going on vacation with his family after Sukkot, and then I got my schedule. I got to work around with his schedule and try to get him on my show maybe in probably at the beginning of December, if not the late November or something like that. But I'm anxious to get him on and learn more about his ministry and share it with everybody else out there, because it was just fantastic. And I was, on one hand, I was excited to get back home because, my family needs me. We're having the funeral this weekend and everything. But on the other hand, I didn't want to leave. I was really having a great time there. A lot of awesome campfire discussions, late night, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And we came up with a new hand sign, keeping it flat. So we had we had Team Flat, and there are others out there that weren't quite on that page, but we had a lot of very exciting, fun, civil discussions about a variety of topics, not just that. I mean, the calendar is a hot topic right now, and to be honest with you, I haven't spent as much time as I probably should looking into the Enoch calendar, which may seem surprising to some people considering how much I use the Book of Enoch for a lot of my other work. But this subject came up a lot during our Sukkot, and Jacob and others are really trying to understand it and nail it down. And my friend, one of my friends, David, and his wife have spent the whole year doing. He's like, the only way I'm going to learn how any of this works is to actually live it out and practice my life by the calendar to see how it works. And he did. He spent the whole year doing the Enoch calendar. He's with my home Bible study fellowship doing Sukkot right now. So I'm anxious to get with him at some point. He took extensive notes, and so I'm really looking forward to hearing what he has to say. Jacob's getting ready to do a whole year looking into it. So, I'm in the position of testing all things right now. We are celebrating Shabbat right now, as I understand it, from Friday at sunset to Saturday at sunset. That is the way I understand it. I'm going off of crescent, some go off of conjunction. I've done conjunction first. I'm doing crescent now, so it may be time for me to go ahead and go give a good test of the Enoch calendar, and test it out, see what happens. So, but that's what Sukkot is all about. It's fellowship, it's fun. I learned a new card game called Nerds, never heard of before, but it's like solitaire on steroids that you play with teams, and it's very fast paced. And Jacob's wife is like a pro, man. She's like with those cards. I'm like, man, but we would play with 4, 6, 8 people. And it really gets crazy, man. It was fun. And I'm sitting there playing cards with them a couple days ago, and I hear my name, and somebody call my name, and I look up, and it's Lex Meyer. Lex Meyer was there. He, I think if I remember the story right, I think his wife had a death in her family, and they had to fly in. I think he lives in Oklahoma City, and so they had flown out to California, I guess, for that. And since they were somewhere near where Orosi is, the place where we were in California, just south of Fresno, he thought they would stop by, the Sukkot, and I guess they had some friends that were there. They went to go see. So they're just walking through camp. He looks over, and he's surprised to see me as I was to see him. He's like, Rob? I'm like, hey, dude. So, that's what's so cool about Sukkot, is because people will come from all over, and you get together, and everybody's, on their own journey, and we get to compare notes and talk. And, it's just, the command is to have fun, and it's hard not to, to be honest with you.
Well, you got a distraction there then, didn't you?
I did. It was, and originally the thought was that I might be a presenter there, doing some teaching, and then it turned out that I wasn't going to be, and I was like, you know what? I am totally fine with that. It is so rare that I get to do nothing. That it was a nice break, and literally didn't have to do anything, just wake up and hang out with cool people and, go to bed. That's about it.
Well, Jacob and his wife, they are inspiring too. They're an inspiring couple, I have to say, because Patricia and I follow them. And of course, they're a couple. You guys are a couple. And it's meaningful when two people walk out their faith together. And it's a joy to watch them do that. It's only through Facebook, and I've talked to Jacob a few times, on the phone. But they are inspiring. I will give them that.
Very much so. Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy. Well, I don't know how many people who are watching us right now are doing Sukkot. If they are, I don't know how they got Wi-Fi signal. Although we actually had Wi-Fi, that was kind of cool. I didn't use it at all, but it was toward the end of it. I was like, hey, we got Wi-Fi here. We actually worked for getting my boarding passes, because I was supposed to be there till Monday. Of course, with the funeral happening this weekend and everything, I had to come back early. So it was nice having the ability to tap into a Wi-Fi and get my boarding passes and all that squared away. But really just to unplug. It was I check Facebook every now and then on my iPhone, but other than that, we were out in the wild, and we got to go out into the mountains too. There was like a state park there, and I think it was called the General Grant. I don't know if it was the second largest, or it's one of the largest sequoia trees, I think, in the world. And so we got to check that out, and that was quite impressive, but it was way, way, way up in the mountains. And so we got up there, and Brian and several other people had shofars, and they would blow the shofar out over the valley. I mean, there was just like, it was like probably maybe a dozen shofars going off over the mountain ranges there. Oh man, that was so cool.
That had to have been very cool. Just blasting those things off into the mountain, echoes just off the sides.
Yeah.
Cool.
Good times. Good times. I'm
Man, that just sounds difficult to follow, Rob.
I know, how do we follow up with a boring virtual house church? But no, these are great too. I was actually, I am actually excited that we get to do this one, because I didn't think I put so much time and effort into doing all of the other Torah portions for the whole year to have a complete cycle, you know, on YouTube. And I was kind of bummed because I was like, wow, man, I'm going to be at Sukkot. I'm not going to be able to do, you know, we thought we were going to do a double portion last week. And then, you know, things got a little crazy for both of us. By the way, how is your nephew?
Swelling is down. Fluid is draining. That's good. We're just waiting in bated breath on neurological functions. He's having some, you know, he takes 2 steps forwards and 2 back. You know, one day he'll vomit. We don't know if it will cause any more pressure in the head, but much better than last week. Mom and Dad are still freaking out, which I would too, but I appreciate everybody's prayers. And like last week, I didn't know we were going to do the show, and I have to say, you know, you didn't know. I didn't know until you messaged me about an hour or two ago. We'll be there. And I was waiting on bated breath because I got John Pounders moving his household tonight and tomorrow. So I was going to be here doing the virtual house church by myself. And when you called, that's when I sent that picture to you. Because I mean, I got more excited than Les Nessman during the turkey drop, man. That was great stuff. So I was happy to hear your voice.
Yeah. I was just leaving Granbury, and I'm like, yeah, I should be able to make it back in time. So, well, let's go ahead and jump in. Let's get started here. I'm going to do the screen share again. As usual, virtualhousechurch.com. Scroll down in the left-hand menu to the last week right here, Deuteronomy week number 54. And once again, for people who are maybe just new to this and want to see if there's anybody in their area that they could get together, you know, to actually have one-on-one fellowship with real people, not just over the internet. You can look for a blue dot that may be near you. Just click on it and contact the people. You know, it was really cool too, John, was meeting some people, actually this really cool couple that I met. Actually, the first day, Jacob was helping me bring my luggage from my car, and we met this young couple that has I think a 1-year-old baby, and they were there because of this ministry. They had connected online, and you know, through all kinds of other research, Nephilim or whatever, you know, found the virtual house church and stuff. And this is their first time doing Torah and first Sukkot. And just I really enjoy spending time with them because they have that zeal and that hunger, you know, of a newbie, you know, just wow, this is, you know, we've never done this before. And it was encouraging to me also that, you know, that our ministry was instrumental in making that happen. So, you know, we're reaching people. You know, you go out, you know, the virtual house churches, I don't know how it's doing on Now You See TV, but on my YouTube channel, they're getting upwards between 3,000 and 5,000 views, some of them.
Same over on Now You See TV, and the Virtual House Church on Facebook is growing leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
And you mentioned people coming into and researching Torah and what it's all about and having the zeal. I am always in awe about the glory of Yahweh being glorified in people coming to the faith. I guess it's new for you every time you meet somebody new and they state, you know, I've been following the Virtual House Church or, you know, your ministry, and you through you, I've been affected. I know I'm in awe just at the power of Yahweh and His movement.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's really encouraging because, you know, when you're sitting here, you know, you and I are just kind of talking to each other here on Google Hangouts, and you don't know, you know, who are we reaching? Are we reaching anybody? You know, and obviously there are people in the chat room and stuff like that. You know, we have sort of the regulars, you know, here, and welcome everybody that's in the chat room. I'm glad you were able to join us. But, you know, when it's really just kind of the two of us talking to each other and, you know, maybe fielding some questions, you start to wonder, you know, how effective are we being? How many people are we reaching? And it's just amazing, you know, what the internet has made possible for us to do. And, you know, when you look at all these blue dots right here, people meeting in home fellowships and stuff like that, this deal is really growing. And one of the things that I'm going to unshare again, the screen share here, I want to chat real quick before we get started. I'm sorry, everybody, we're kind of, you know, unorganized here, but just I'm excited. One of the early speakers that I listened to was talking about what we call the Greater Exodus. You know, I know Zach Bauer's done quite a bit on it. I've done some on it, and Steve and others have as well. Steve Mutria. the whole, I mean, when you kind of come off the pre-trib rapture page and you're wondering, well, what's going to happen? How's it going to play out? And as you start studying Torah, for a year or two, you start realizing, wow, Revelation is just an amped up repeat of Exodus. And the book of Numbers may be the tribulation play-by-play roadmap, for how it's going to go down. And so when you see a ministry like Growing in Torah that is growing as a ministry, the ministry is growing. And they had these blueprints and everything to really expand the place and to build some dorm houses. I mean, they had a really nice setup as it was, but you could tell it was kind of assembled over time, as resources became available. But they're actually trying to raise funds to, really build some nice dorms and, shower rooms and bathrooms and all that kind of stuff and make a real facility there. And when I have met people like that, who have a vision from God, that God is in it, the favor of God is on them, and you start to see plans in motion. I mean, look at my seed project too. I mean, I've been working on that since 2009, and hopefully in April it's really going to take a next step forward, hopefully. But I've met many people over the last probably 5 years who have been given huge visions from God to accomplish something. And in every single case, including my seed project, it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of money to do these things. And I know God is faithful to complete what he's begun. And I just see all of these other ministries out there who are in kind of the same stage I am. You've laid a lot of foundation. You've built your audience. People are aware of what you're doing, but now you're about ready to take it to the next level to really see the dream, come true, so to speak. And, a lot of the things we were talking about throughout this weekend, the various people that I was talking with, is that we all believe we've got more time. And I know there's some prophecy ministries out there, and even that have been on this broadcast. I know Steve's, he thinks it's sooner than later. Frankly, I hope they're right, but I don't think they are. I really do truly believe we've got at least 15 to 20 to, if not 80 years. And one of the things that we were discussing was that we may be sort of the first generation to raise up a generation of Torah, and that they're the ones that end up going in the promised land. There have been forerunners. Certainly there have been people who've come into this understanding, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years ago, but they were voices crying in the wilderness, and taking a lot of abuse, out there all by themselves. But I mean, we look at the map right there, and now this is just like, it's just in its infancy though. I mean, a lot of people did initially come in around the 2009 and 2010 timeframe, as we've discussed a number of times before, but there's just a huge swell of people just now coming in. And when I looked at that couple with their 1-year-old child and another one on the way, and they have just come into this, about the time their child was born, you think, wow, I mean, here's a couple that is just now coming into this, and they just had a baby, and this is all that baby's going to know. It's like the generation in the wilderness that was raised by the generation that didn't get to go into the promised land, and I tend to think, based on my observations of my research and the journey that I've been on, that I think we are that generation that is raising up the generation that's going to go in. In fact, I think I said it here, that, it's possible I may die of old age, assuming I live long enough and healthy enough to get to a ripe old age. But I feel like I may die of old age before the second coming. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. They're wanting to get out in the next few years, but I just see too many things left to be fulfilled, prophetically speaking. I see the enemy ramping up with transhumanism and all that kind of stuff. That's all just kind of in its infancy also. And I see just the power of God I mean, there's something happening here that's building momentum and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And for these reasons and more, I think we've got some more time, and there's going to be a lot more blue dots on that map.
So we have a huge responsibility in raising the next generation up in walking out his ways.
I believe so.
So we have a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do.
I believe so. Of course, Scripture says, "Occupy until He comes." Well, what does that mean? Well, whatever God's called you to do it. Sure, we can keep looking up. As some ministries say, keep looking up. I get it. But and the way I look at it, when I was in full-time ministry in the mission organization that I was with, the statistics that we would hear is that about 5 billion people still need to know Jesus as their Lord and Savior. That's just massively huge. I mean, really, if only 2.5 billion people have been reached in this whole world and there's 5 billion left, but when you take it to the next step of understanding Yeshua, the Torah observant Jewish Hebraic Messiah who kept Torah, there's a lot more than 5 billion that need to hear. So and Yeshua said in Matthew 24 that this message of the kingdom must be preached in all the world first, and then the end shall come. So even just by standard evangelical Sunday morning, Christmas, Easter Christianity, we still had 5 billion people to reach, 7 years ago when I was, in the ministry. And if we take it to the idea of understanding Torah and what the kingdom, this message of the kingdom really means, he said, "I only come for the lost sheep of the house of Israel." And the kingdom is the united house coming back together again. Ezekiel 37. That message is barely gone out. So I'm thinking it's a lot more than 5 billion. And if that's the message of the kingdom that he wanted to be known in all the world, we've got a job to do. And I'm excited about that. Yeah, I want to get out of here like everybody else. I can watch the news. I see how bad things are getting. I get it. But at the same time, I think I've got a job to do, and I have the opportunity to do it. And maybe I have a lot of time to do it, which makes me really excited because there's an opportunity to reap a great big harvest. I think about my uncle. He passed away a few days ago. He has a lot of crowns that he can lay at our Savior's feet. We talked about how many people have been impacted just by the lives that he touched, and I'm one of them. And you were saying that you're one of them that was touched through some of the stuff that I've done, and others as well, and they've touched other people. He has his crowns to lay down. I want to have a whole pile to lay down too. So I'm excited, that we could have more time left.
Speaking of the children, while you guys were out at Sukkot, were there a lot of kids there?
There was, and they had a lot to do. They had games and playground, and they had a lot to do. They had plenty to keep them occupied and busy, and they had ping pong table tournaments and all kinds of stuff there. Yeah, there were kids there. There were dogs there. It's a real family environment there for sure.
So I'm taking away from the message that I just received from you was, sure, there's a lot of bad things going on in the world, and we're to be watchmen, but our focus should be on the walk and witness to those who don't know Yeshua.
Absolutely.
That's the focus. Amen.
That's the focus. Yep. That's our job. That's our commission. And, we may have, a couple of years I don't know how many years Steve thinks. I know he's kind of on this kick that it may be any time now, cutting the time short and all that. Maybe that's true. I tend to think, no, we may have anywhere from 15 to 80 plus years left to go. Doesn't matter. Our job is to occupy till he comes, and I'm excited to be able to do that right now.
Before we get into the portion, I just want to remind you and everybody in the chat and who's watching, John and I got Zen Garcia. He said yes about the Enochian calendar. And I believe we got Steve to come on to do a calendar panel.
Cool.
And it's not going to be a debate. It's just going to be a discussion. Awesome. And throwing ideas out there. So we're going to be sending you guys some dates here in the next week or so. I think we already did, but we're just waiting to shore it all up.
Fantastic. I'll be looking forward to that. Be a continuation of the campfire discussions I've been having for about 4 days at Sukkot. So that'd be fun.
You got practice. That's no fair.
I had a little bit of practice. Well, like I said, I'm going to be there mainly just to observe and to be the yeah but guy. I don't consider myself an expert by any stretch of the imagination on any of the views. So I am interested to hear what each person has to say for sure. All right, let me. I keep sidetracking here. Let me get back to it here, or never get done tonight. All right, so again, if you go to virtualhousechurch.com, left-hand menu, scroll down, you'll see. I wonder what I have on the Sukkot page here. Looks like I have some teachings. It looks like these are probably Jim Staley teachings that got pulled. There's a few others there, similar to what we had for Day of Atonement and Feast of Trumpets. So there is a page that was dedicated just to Sukkot. This is our portion right here. It's the final one. It's our last portion of this cycle. Still have to update all this stuff. I'll have to do that for sure. If people want to read commentary by Ardell from Your Living Waters, the commentary right here, I highly recommend it. I didn't find, I read a lot of Ardell's commentaries for various other portions, and there was very few things that I disagreed with. And if it was anything that I disagreed with, it was minor. I tend to resonate with everything that I had read before, so I really recommend him. He's got 2008 and 2009 commentaries you can check on there, and sort of the usual stuff. This is some of the notes from 2013 when we did this portion, so you can check those out for sure. It looks like we did.
Have you ever talked to Ardell?
I have never talked to Ardell, and I feel bad because I don't know if Ardell is a man or a woman. I heard that Ardell is a woman, and I've been saying he a lot, so I'm like, uh-oh. But I don't know. I don't know for sure. Would love to contact that person and have him on the show. Yeah, for sure.
Sorry about that.
Maybe.
I'm sidetracking.
Oh no, but maybe you guys can get Ardell on the show. Just go to Living Waters. Your Living Waters was it .com? YourLivingWaters.com, and maybe just see if there's a contact button somewhere.
I just wrote it down.
Yeah, because wow, powerful insights. So you can check that out. This is the portion we'll be going over. We'll be finishing the book of Deuteronomy today, and then at the end of Sukkot, which for the group out there, they were going off a conjunction, so they're going to end on Sunday. My group went off a crescent, so they're going to be ending on Monday. The tradition is they have on the 8th day they have this big ceremony, and people do all kinds of fun stuff. And anyway, if they have a Torah scroll, they will typically roll it all the way back to Genesis, and then the following week begin with Genesis chapter 1. And again, the new Genesis workbook is done, the WEB World English Bible Translation. You can check that out on Amazon.com. So apparently the last time I did this was September 27th, 2013. So that's what this audio would be from, that particular one there. So we'll be covering Deuteronomy 33 through the end of the book. And in the prophets, Joshua chapter 1, verses 1 through 18, and these are the New Testament portions here. Now, I went to Steve's website. We've been using Steve Mutria's website, torahfamily.org, and he has a different portion here. So I know a lot of times people will do a reading for Sukkot, and this is probably the reading for Sukkot, but it's not from Deuteronomy. So, and I wasn't able, if he has it up here, I wasn't able to find it, so I don't know where this week's Torah portion is. So we will be listening to audio from BibleGateway.com. And in fact, if you just click on the link right there, it takes you to this page right here. And I'll just go ahead and click on the little audio button here, and we'll listen to Deuteronomy 33 and 34.
Deuteronomy 33. And this is the blessing wherewith Moses, the man of God, blessed the children of Israel before his death. And he said, The Lord came from Sinai, and rose up from Seir unto them. He shined forth from Mount Paran, and he came with 10,000s of saints. From his right hand went a fiery law for them. Yea, he loved the people. All his saints are in thy hand. And they sat down at thy feet. Every one shall receive of thy words. Moses commanded us a law, even the inheritance of the congregation of Jacob. And he was king in Jeshurun, when the heads of the people and the tribes of Israel were gathered together. Let Reuben live and not die, and let not his men be few. And this is the blessing of Judah. And he said, Hear, Lord, the voice of Judah, and bring him unto his people. Let his hands be sufficient for him, and be thou an help to him from his enemies. And of Levi he said, Let thy Thummim and thy Urim be with thy Holy One, whom thou didst prove at Massah, and with whom thou didst strive at the waters of Meribah, who said unto his father and to his mother, I have not seen him, neither did he acknowledge his brethren, nor knew his own children. For they have observed thy word, and kept thy covenant. They shall teach Jacob thy judgments, and Israel thy law. They shall put incense before thee, and whole burnt sacrifice upon thine altar. Bless, Lord, his substance, and accept the work of his hands. Smite through the loins of them that rise against him, and of them that hate him, that they rise not again. And of Benjamin he said, The beloved of the Lord shall dwell in safety by him, and the Lord shall cover him all the day long, and he shall dwell between his shoulders. And of Joseph he said, Blessed of the Lord be his land, for the precious things of heaven, for the dew, and for the deep that coucheth beneath, and for the precious fruits brought forth by the sun, and for the precious things put forth by the moon, and for the chief things of the ancient mountains, and for the precious things of the lasting hills, and for the precious things of the earth and fullness thereof, and for the goodwill of him that dwelt in the bush. Let the blessing come upon the head of Joseph, and upon the top of the head of him that was separated from his brethren. His glory is like the firstling of his bullock, and his horns are like the horns of unicorns. With them he shall push the people together to the ends of the earth. And they are the 10,000s of Ephraim, and they are the thousands of Manasseh. And of Zebulun he said, Rejoice, Zebulun, in thy going out, and Issachar in thy tents. They shall call the people unto the mountain. There they shall offer sacrifices of righteousness. For they shall suck of the abundance of the seas, and of treasures hid in the sand. And of Gad he said, Blessed be he that enlargeth Gad. He dwelleth as a lion, and teareth the arm with the crown of the head. And he provided the first part for himself, because there in a portion of the lawgiver was he seated. And he came with the heads of the people. He executed the justice of the Lord, and his judgments with Israel. And of Dan he said, Dan is a lion's whelp. He shall leap from Bashan. And of Naphtali he said, O Naphtali, satisfied with favor, and full with the blessing of the Lord, possess thou the west and the south. And of Asher he said, Let Asher be blessed with children. Let him be acceptable to his brethren, and let him dip his foot in oil. Thy shoes shall be iron and brass, and as thy days, so shall thy strength be. There is none like unto the God of Jeshurun, who rideth upon the heaven in thy help, and in his excellency on the sky. The eternal God is thy refuge, and underneath are the everlasting arms. And he shall thrust out the enemy from before thee, and shall say, Destroy them. Israel then shall dwell in safety alone. The fountain of Jacob shall be upon a land of corn and wine. Also his heavens shall drop down dew. Happy art thou, O Israel! Who is like unto thee, O people saved by the Lord, the shield of thy help? And who is the sword of thy excellency? And thine enemies shall be found liars unto thee, and thou shalt tread upon their high places.
And let me just skip over to 34 here.
Deuteronomy 34. And Moses went up from the plains of Moab unto the mountain of Nebo, to the top of Pisgah, that is over against Jericho. And the Lord showed him all the land of Gilead unto Dan, and all Naphtali, and the land of Ephraim and Manasseh, and all the land of Judah unto the utmost sea, and the south, and the plain of the valley of Jericho, the city of palm trees, unto Zoar. And the Lord said unto him, This is the land which I swear unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob, saying, I will give it unto thy seed. I have caused thee to see it with thine eyes, but thou shalt not go over thither. So Moses, a servant of the Lord, died there in the land of Moab, according to the word of the Lord. And he buried him in a valley in the land of Moab, over against Beth Peor. But no man knoweth of his sepulchre unto this day. And Moses was 120 years old when he died. His eye was not dim, nor his natural force abated. And the children of Israel wept for Moses in the plains of Moab 30 days. So the days of weeping and mourning for Moses were ended. And Joshua, the son of Nun, was full of the spirit of wisdom. For Moses had laid his hands upon him, and the children of Israel hearkened unto him, and did as the Lord commanded Moses. And there arose not a prophet since in Israel, like unto Moses, whom the Lord knew, face to face. In all the signs and the wonders which the Lord sent him to do in the land of Egypt to Pharaoh, and to all his servants, and to all his land, and in all that mighty hand, and in all the great terror which Moses showed in the sight of all Israel.
All right. That completes our Torah portion. And we could certainly take questions and everything too, but if anybody has any comments that they would like to contribute to the discussion, we can maybe do like we did last time, John, and if somebody has something to contribute that they want to add to the discussion based on the Torah portion, they can let you know, and then you can send them a link and we can have them come on the show.
We can do that. We'll send them a link. We just got a few questions on that Torah portion. There's one that we can wait till towards the end of the show because it's an offshoot question. Somebody's wondering about something, but there's a few questions already up in the Google chat. Cool. From the chat room. And I'll ask, so what Rob is saying is, if you guys want to contribute to the Torah portion this evening, I'll just private message me and I will send a link to you, and you guys can come on in and talk to Rob. All right, so we'll start out with the first one. Let's see. Thoughts on the unicorn reference? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I wondered who was going to pick up on that. Various people have different opinions on, what the unicorn is, or rhinoceros, or whatever. I'm wondering, based on many other cultures who have this idea of a horse with a horn sticking out of the front of it called a unicorn, maybe that's what it is. I mean, we also have satyrs mentioned in the King James Bible. Satyrs are half goat, half humans. So, why not? There's enough mythological creatures. We call them mythological creatures, but they appear in numerous ancient cultures and various depictions and descriptions that I'm going, well, maybe. But I would have to see if unicorn may have been an old English, 17th century word for something more common, like perhaps a, rhinoceros or something like that. But I don't know. I tend to think it may be what we would think when we first see unicorn.
Another question from Cott. It's for later reference. There was one I just passed up. Let me see.
Cott was asking, does the study start over again next week? Yep. It starts in Genesis chapter 1 next week.
Was you going to do Genesis or go into Joshua as well?
Well, actually, no. The traditional Torah portion starts over in Genesis. I've already been doing this I'll be going on my 8th year now. So I want to just keep going with Joshua. But for everybody else, I will also be doing Genesis with my home Bible fellowship, but on Virtual House Church, I think the plan is to just kind of come on maybe for the first half hour or hour or so and just give commentary rather than listen to the whole thing again. Just give commentary and maybe go over some notes. If people have their notebooks and stuff like that, people have notes and maybe they can add to it, or just read what they wrote in previous years or whatever. And so we can do that. just kind of we come on the show and say, hey, this week's Torah portion is blah blah blah. You know, what are your thoughts, John? Do you have anything on this week's, or I'll maybe share something and maybe open the phone lines or the Google Hangout lines for anybody that might want to contribute to that, and then in the second hour just jump right into Joshua and keep going. You know.
Okay. Todd also, he goes on further and he says, what is your take on the blessings of Ephraim and Manasseh when it speaks of the thousands and 10,000s?
Yeah.
Is this a reference to what he refers to the Ephraim awakening we see today?
I believe so. Yeah. You know, I didn't pick up on this in previous years going through it. I mean, I did have highlighted, you know, you can't really see, it's all blown out here. It looks like in my camera, but anyway, I have highlighted and put notes in here from previous studies, but this is the first thing that just jumped out at me, that this is he's going through the whole 12 tribes and giving the blessings again, or giving, you know, I guess Moses's blessings, because he had Jacob, you know, that blessed all of his sons. So he had the blessings of Jacob over everybody, and of course we know the deal with crossing his arms over Ephraim and Manasseh and all that. But it just kind of struck me. I'm like, wow, Moses is given another blessing because they're about to go in the land, you know. And they're going to have their inheritance is coming to them. So it'd be interesting to compare what the blessings that Moses gives here with the blessings that Jacob gave. You know, I've never thought of doing that before until this portion right here. But regarding Ephraim and Manasseh, yeah, it's the Ephraim awakening. That's what I call this movement, because that's what I believe it is. Ephraim went into captivity in about 721-ish. BC, and the initial judgment was 390 years, according to Ezekiel, I think it's chapter 4. The prophet was told to lay on his side for 390 days, a day for a year, 390-year judgment. But Leviticus 26 says if you don't learn your lesson in the judgment, you get 7 times that. And if you do the math out, you know, 7 times 390, you get 2,730 years, which ended right around 2009, 2010 timeframe. So, and then all of a sudden, boom, you got blue dots all over the map of people wanting to return to, you know, Genesis and do Shabbat and do the feasts and stuff like that. So, you know, and right there it says the 10,000s of Ephraim, you know, 10,000 times 10,000. You know, we're talking millions, I believe. But something that jumped out at me that I didn't catch before either, and I underlined it, but I didn't write any notes on it anyway, was verse 2 of chapter 33. It says, and he said, the Lord came from Sinai and rose up from Seir unto them. He shined forth from Mount Paran, and he, i.e. Yahuwah, came with 10,000s of saints. From his right hand went a fiery law for them. And you know what I believe regarding the right hand? That's Yeshua. But I never caught that it says that he came with 10,000s of his saints. You know, that's like a heavenly entourage coming down here. I never caught that before. Unless I'm reading it wrong.
It does say that. No, verse 2, and he said, Yahweh came from Sinai and rose from Seir from them. He shone forth from Mount Paran, and he came with 10,000s of set-apart ones at his right hand, a law of fire for them. That's what mine says. Huh.
Yeah, that's a little different. Read that part. He came again. What does yours say? He came,
and he came with 10,000s of set-apart ones at his right hand, a law of fire for them. And I'm reading from the scriptures.
The scriptures, yeah. The scriptures translation of the scriptures.
Yeah. Of the scriptures, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty wild there. I'd have to go look that up. And also, you know, people a lot of times ask me, what's the deal with 33 and 333? And because if you go to my Seed, the series website, you'll see a lot of 333 type stuff, $3.33, $33.33. A lot of this Jeremiah 33:3 stuff like that. Deuteronomy 33:3 is pretty cool. Yea, he loved the people; all his saints are in thy hand, and they sat down at thy feet. Every one shall receive thy words. You know, there are reasons why I chose those numbers, and you know, yes, the occult loves 33. You know, the Freemasons doing stuff like that, but I call it seed because I'm planting seeds. And there are codes all over seed. And so I'm giving you a little bit of a hint right now as to what I'm thinking when I've got the threes. But that was one that just jumped out at me pretty cool right there.
Well, you're at a pause. If you are watching on YouTube and you want to come into the private chat on the Virtual House Church, go to niuctv.org, click on the link, and you will get right into the chat room. And if you want to ask Rob a question this evening, please feel free to join us. I also encourage you guys to go over to the Virtual House Church on Facebook and sign up there and join in the conversation. There's, like I said, it's almost exploding over there. I mean, there's posts going off almost every day.
Cool.
And really interesting things being talked about and discussed over there. And if you want to talk to Rob tonight, just private message me in the NiUCTV Rumble chat. I'll give you the link, and we'll get you guys on. So,
yeah, love to hear any other comments out there. That's what I did when I did Virtual House Church originally on the radio. I would open up the phone lines, and people would call in from all over. And man, there were some really great conversations. Other people have some really great insights. So, if you're one of them, we want to hear from you for sure.
And again, just private message me in the Rumble chat, and I'll get you guys a link. There's more questions over in the Google chat, but I want to hang on. It looks like you got a thought.
Oh, well, I was just looking to see what else I had written down of anything. Of course, Moses meeting with, it says in 34:10, there arose not a prophet since in Israel like unto Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face. Wow, I mean, face to face. That's pretty hardcore. And the other thing I didn't notice is I always thought he was buried in the mountains. But it says, and Moses went up from the plains of Moab unto the mountain of Nebo to the top of Pisgah, that is over against Jericho, and the Lord showed him all the land of Gilead unto Dan. So he's up the mountain there. And then it says in verse 5, so Moses, the servant of the Lord, died there in the land of Moab, according to the word of the Lord. And it says that Yahuwah buried him in a valley in the land of Moab. Didn't catch that before either. I always thought he was buried in the mountain. It says he buried him in a valley in the land of Moab.
So is that where Hazatan and Michael argued over Moses' body?
Yeah, apparently. I've been trying to find the source for that scripture. Like, apparently the author knew it and the audience knew it. Oh, okay, yeah, that's where that happened. I have yet to find the document that describes that. But yeah, presumably that would be the case. And also, if I remember right, and I could be wrong, but I seem to recall that it was either in 1st or 2nd Maccabees that it records that the prophet Jeremiah took the articles of the temple, of the tabernacle, and hid them in the place where Moses was buried. So, I don't know. But now I know it's in a valley, not a mountain. So that's kind of interesting.
That's what it says. I'm going to move on to the next question, and as I'm typing in the chat to see if anybody wants to come on. Mark asks, could you explain about Dan being a lion's whelp? Have you looked into that?
No, but I believe that's the same thing that Jacob said. If I can remember right, I think that Jacob had described the same thing. So it seems to just be reiterating that. What that means, I don't know. It's curious that I think Dan is missing in the Revelation listing of the 144,000. So I don't know. Oops, you're muted there, buddy.
That's me. I'm always doing something silly like that. Martha asked, let's see, what are the precious things put forth by the moon?
I wrote that down too with a question mark right next to it. I'm like, what?
And so that's what she did.
Yeah, I literally, well, you probably can't see it because my camera's going to blow it out, but I put a thing there, a line next to it with a question mark going, what? We had a lot of questions and conversations about the moon at Sukkot because it's like, boom, right there. We have the full moon and then it starts to wane. I don't know. For the precious fruits brought forth by the sun, and you might think, well, crops obviously are nourished by the sun. For the precious things put forth by the moon, I don't know. Couldn't tell you. Something to look up. Something to look into.
we've been monitoring the move. We bought Patricia bought a very nice telescope, and it came in
Cool.
last
Cool.
week. So we've been out watching that thing, and Michael keeps working out where the sun is, supposedly, and how it's reflecting off the moon. But he grabbed his laser and he's marking down, and he can't wait till it snows so he can get a temperature on the snow. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
That thing is putting off its own light.
A cold light at that.
Yes.
We had many discussions about that. It's kind of trippy. So I'm looking up just to be sure. I looked up Revelation chapter 7. I'll go ahead and screen share this. I looked it up in the International Standard Version because it uses the numbers 144,000, so it was quick. So we see those were sealed from the tribe of Israel, 12,000 from the tribe of Judah, 12,000 from Reuben, 12,000 from Gad, 12,000 from Asher, 12,000 from Naphtali, 12,000 from Manasseh, 12,000 from Simeon, 12,000 from Levi, 12,000 from Issachar, 12,000 from Zebulun, 12,000 from Joseph, and 12,000 from Benjamin. Yeah, Dan's missing there. So, I've heard a lot of interesting theories and ideas as to why that may be, but to answer the question earlier about the leaping as a lion from Bashan, I don't know.
The law clerk came in and said, the precious things brought forth from the moon, could it be the feast or the fruits of the calendar?
Could be. Yeah. Although, as I understand, the Enoch calendar crowd, I think, is going solar, mostly. I don't know. Right now I'm going off the premise that it's the crescent moon. Others are going off of a conjunction moon. Some question whether it's the moon at all. I don't know. Could be.
Jason came in. He said, who was Moses face to face with there?
I believe Yeshua, ultimately. Because no one can see the Father and live. And even when Moses said, "Hey, we had earlier accounts that he's meeting with God face to face," and then he says, "Hey, I want to see you in all your glory," and he's like, "Well, he puts him in the cleft of the rock and uses his hand to cover him, and as he walked by, he looked at the back." So
another mount transfiguration on a mount, probably, maybe.
Yeah, could be. Many people that I've been talking with tend to think that, most of the interaction that took place where there was a tangible being in front of you, that it's Yeshua, pre-incarnate.
That's interesting. Let's see. Larissa says, what are your thoughts on what the Thummim and the Urim are?
Well, they're stones, as I understand it. If you look at the breastplate of the high priest, and you got his two shoulder plates and all that, it appears that they would light up, almost like a code or something. And I've heard other people give interesting theories as to how the thing worked, but you could ask questions of God and apparently light up. So as a way of communicating and getting answers from
I think
God.
You did a short teaching on the breastplate, didn't you?
Well, it was a while back. My focus was on the difference between the 12 stones on the high priest breastplate, which is modeled after something in heaven. So presumably Yeshua has, the same breastplate that the earthly Levitical high priest was wearing on earth, but that Satan only had 9. And the row that he's missing was the row that had, I think it was Benjamin, Ephraim, and Manasseh.
Well, the Benjamin, what I took away from it was that Hazatan has the breastplate. He's missing 2.
He's missing 3. He's missing
3.
Yeah, he's missing a whole. Well, there's 12, and he's only got 9. So.
And the reason why he didn't see Paul come in is because he didn't have Benjamin.
He was missing that. He was missing that plan. Yeah, Paul was of the tribe of Benjamin. And he was the one that was used to reach Ephraim and Manasseh. So he wasn't privy to that part of the plan, I guess. At least that's what I take out of it anyway.
There was a question at the beginning tonight. Did you know there's supposed to be shooting going across?
Oh,
the
yeah,
sky
meteor showers.
Yeah, it's supposed to be tonight.
We saw several out at the campsite. You know, several times.
Perfect.
Yeah, several times we'd be talking and there would one go across the sky. You know. So yeah, getting a good light show at Sukkot.
Okay, this gentleman had asked me like 2 or 3 times, and I'm going to go ahead and ask it because I was new at one time, and these questions were really important to me when I first started out. And just like the young couple that you met who had zeal, who was learning, and he just messaged me, said, you know, anonymously, I'm practicing Sukkot in my backyard in Cincinnati. This is my first one. It's going to get cold tonight, possibly down to 38. Question: are we allowed to light a fire just for warmth if it Shabbat? And we've talked about this before on previous shows.
You know, I never thought about that in terms of Sukkot. Well, I don't believe God wants you to freeze to death. But that is an interesting question. You know, because we've always dealt with the issue as far as turning the heater on in our house, you know, and that kind of thing. Turning light switches on or turning the ignition in your car. That's really interesting. I don't know. I wouldn't want to give the answer and be wrong on that one because the dude picked up sticks on Saturday. Numbers 15 didn't work out so well for him, you know. Wow. I don't know, maybe I think you might just get some blankets or something. You know, just pray and see what you feel you should be doing.
Can you get an extension cord and bring a heater out there?
Get a heater out there or get some more blankets. You know, by the way, my I didn't have heat in my RV, and it got cold the last couple nights. Oh man, it was freezing. But one of the other guys down the way gave me 3 really thick blankets. So I'm not a cocoon sleeper typically, you know, but I was wrapped up, you know, my nose sticking out kind of deal. Because boy, it got cold, man.
It's going to be cold tonight. We're set up on the deck.
Yeah.
We don't know if we'll be traveling back down to Tennessee, but we're out on the deck. And it's nice because we've got bamboo things down, and it's shielding us, and it's covered. It's a covered deck. It's really nice. And we've got blankets across. And I think Patty took the heater out there and, you know, plugged it up before sundown. So hopefully we'll get some heat tonight and no clouds so we can see these meteors.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, buddy. I don't know what the answer is. Hadn't really ever thought about it. And I'm kind of wondering what everybody's doing at the campsite right now, because we always had that campfire going as soon as the sun went down, unless they started it before the sun went down. I don't know.
Well, next question. This one comes from Sean. Can you ask Rob if he's ever compared the blessings from Jacob in Genesis 49 to the blessings throughout the rest of the Torah in regards to what we just read as well? Any insights?
I have not.
He says also, with Dan missing from Revelations, does Rob think it's possible the Antichrist comes from this tribe based on Genesis 49's blessings from Jacob to Dan?
Yeah, there are people who believe the Antichrist comes from Dan. I obviously, you know, if anybody's been following my research, I firmly believe that Nimrod is the Antichrist. So I would take that to mean that he comes from the location of Dan, not that he comes from the bloodline of Dan. Others disagree and said that, you know, the bloodline is of the tribe of Dan. You know, but I, you know, once I came on the Nimrod page, I take it that he will come from the geographical location of Dan.
Of course, we've got a lot more people in the chat room than normal.
Cool.
The Virtual House Church has been building, so we've got a lot of new people. And somebody, you know, they're hearing Sukkot, and we're talking about Sukkot, and they don't know what Sukkot is. Can you just give a brief synopsis of what we're celebrating this week?
Yeah, for sure. A sukkah is singular, is just a temporary dwelling. You know, like we might consider a tent today, or they would consider a booth back in biblical times, where they just kind of create this temporary dwelling. That's a sukkah. The plural of that would be Sukkot. Lots of temporary dwellings. Basically, we would call it the Feast of Tabernacles, and it's a week long with an 8th day celebration, camping, and the command is to do it in Jerusalem. Obviously, we're not able to do that. We're still in the diaspora, in my opinion, and so we do the best we can as a rehearsal, getting ready for the time when we do it in Jerusalem, when the Messiah takes us out of our diaspora, because it says that he will take us. If you read Jeremiah 23, Jeremiah 30, Jeremiah 31, the entire book of Hosea, Ezekiel 37, Isaiah 65 and 66, the ingathering of Israel has not happened yet. The thing that happened in 1948, I maintain, is a counterfeit that was done in unbelief, that fulfills Zephaniah 2, 1 and 2. That's headed for the destruction of Zechariah chapter 13. That's the place that Yeshua says, if you're there in the last days, get out. So, I'm waiting for the Israel that Yahuwah gathers together himself, and we have a millennial reign with Yeshua reigning on earth as a physical king. So this is a dry run rehearsal for us right now. We're doing it in California. People are doing it in Texas. People are doing it all over the place. It is a rehearsal, and the command is to have fun and to use your tithe money to do it. It actually even says have strong drink. And of course, there's lots of commands about not getting drunk. So, do so in moderation. But yeah, it's a time for eating and drinking and having a great time of fellowship, to practice for when we're going to do it for 1,000 years.
Hallelujah. And there's appointed times all through the season that we're supposed to be celebrating. And Sukkot is the last and final one until we go into the Beast Feast days.
Which we don't celebrate.
No, at all. Let's see. M asks, can you ask Rob? He says, I get the number 333 and 333 a lot through my life. Can you ask Rob what that means? Does it mean, what is the meaning to you?
Oh, wow. You know what? I'd have to see if I could dig it up on one of my archive drives. A few years ago, I was seeing triple digits all the time. I'd just look at the clock. It'd be, 333, 222, whatever. I'd look at license plates or the receipt from something I just bought at the store, or the mileage indicator, the odometer reading or whatever. I was seeing triple digits like crazy. I still do. But it was happening so much and such a variety of them that several years ago, I decided to look into what do these numbers mean, and I have a chart somewhere. I'm going to dig it up where it tells what each of them mean. I apologize. I don't remember what 333 stands for, but 444 is one that I see a lot. So it's one that sticks in my head. In fact, we saw it a few times while we were out at Sukkot. It means God at work in the earth through his covenant people. So I'm always excited when I see 444, but I don't remember what 333 was, or really any of the other ones.
I know it was 333 tetrad. Was it Babylon Rising? If someone wants to go with...
No, that was 322.
322, not 333.
Correct. Yeah, it was 322.
Let's see. I think that's the end of the Google chat. Nobody's taking the bait, wanting to come in.
Nobody wants
Rob's
to talk
not going to bite, guys.
Nobody wants to talk.
Rob's not going to bite, guys. So if you want to,
but
I might. Anyways, if you guys want to come in, if you're on YouTube and you want to come in and chat with Rob, just go to nowuctv.org, click on the link, and it'll bring you into the Rumble chat, where NowUCTV has a private chat for the Virtual House Church, and you want to ask Rob some questions. Okay, we've got Sean. I'm going to give him the link, Rob, and bring him in.
Cool. Come on in. While you're doing that, I'm going to look up to see if I can find it on one of my drives if I have it here.
Okay.
I can't remember what I called it. I would think I called it biblical numbers, but I wasn't.
Gematria?
No. I wasn't smart enough to use something as easy as that.
When I say it's gematria, you talking about gematria?
Gematria.
It's Jumanji.
Oh no!
Yeah. The Rock is making a new one of all things.
Is he?
Yeah.
I like The Rock. I enjoy him.
Sean, I sent you the link. All you've got to do is click on there and you'll be in live with us. Let's see. Yeah. Have you found it?
I'm still looking.
I'm
still looking. Wow.
And you had that one look. I'm like, am I going to be here by myself?
Yeah, man. I'm checking out. You're on your own. Sorry. Well, the chat room just got quiet all of a sudden. Really? Wow.
No, everybody's in there. They're talking.
Well, we could do Joshua. I can pop that up.
I'm always down with doing Joshua.
Okay, let me.
All right, Sean. I sent the link in the private message. All you got to do is click on it, and you will be in with us.
In the meantime, I'll go ahead and do the portion we have from the Haftorah. In this case, it's Joshua, and what is it? It's Joshua. Whoops, that's the wrong one. Joshua, chapter 1, 1 through 18. All right, so Joshua 1 through 18. Here we go.
The book of Joshua, chapter 1. Now after the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord, it came to pass that the Lord spake unto Joshua the son of Nun, Moses' minister, saying, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now therefore arise, go over this Jordan, thou and all this people, unto the land which I do give to them, even to the children of Israel. Every place that the sole of your foot shall tread upon, that have I given unto you, as I said unto Moses, from the wilderness and this Lebanon even unto the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, and unto the great sea toward the going down of the sun, shall be your coast. There shall not any man be able to stand before thee all the days of thy life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with thee. I will not fail thee nor forsake thee. Be strong, and of a good courage. For unto this people shalt thou divide for an inheritance the land which I swear unto their fathers to give them. Only be thou strong and very courageous, that thou mayest observe to do, according to all the law, which Moses my servant commanded thee. Turn not from it to the right hand or to the left, that thou mayest prosper whithersoever thou goest. This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. Have not I commanded thee? Be strong, and of a good courage. Be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed. For the Lord thy God is with thee whithersoever thou goest. Then Joshua commanded the officers of the people, saying, Pass through the host, and command the people, saying, Prepare you victuals, for within 3 days ye shall pass over this Jordan to go in to possess the land, which the Lord your God giveth you to possess it. And to the Reubenites, and to the Gadites, and to half the tribe of Manasseh spake Joshua, saying, Remember the word which Moses the servant of the Lord commanded you, saying, The Lord your God hath given you rest, and hath given you this land. Your wives, your little ones, and your cattle shall remain in the land which Moses gave you on this side Jordan. But ye shall pass before your brethren armed, all the mighty men of valor, and help them, until the Lord have given your brethren rest, as he hath given you. And they also have possessed the land which the Lord your God giveth them. Then ye shall return unto the land of your possession, and enjoy it, which Moses the Lord's servant gave you on this side Jordan toward the sunrising. And they answered Joshua, saying, All that thou commandest us we will do, and whithersoever thou sendest us we will go, according as we hearkened unto Moses in all things, so will we hearken unto thee. Only the Lord thy God be with thee, as he was with Moses. Whosoever he be that doth rebel against thy commandment, and will not hearken unto thy words in all that thou commandest him, he shall be put to death. Only be strong, and of a good courage.
Wow, that's quite a commission right there. Joshua Lord telling him right there, boom, I got your back, bro. And, you know, you see all over and over again, to paraphrase a famous Vulcan who was actually Jewish, live long and prosper. If you do all this stuff, you're going to prosper.
Looking forward to when we start the new Torah portions and we get into Joshua, because it's an amazing, amazing book.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we're going to get into some epic battles.
We've got Sean, who just joined us.
Hey, Sean.
Can you hear Sean?
It doesn't look like he can hear us. He's got it. Either that or he's got his microphone muted.
We'll wait for him. There he is.
Sean.
Hey, Sean.
Your mic is muted.
Let's see. There you go, bud.
There he is.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Show. Yeah.
Yep. We can
Welcome
hear you
to
now.
the show.
All right, how's it going? Sorry about that.
No worries.
What's your question, Sean? Good to see you.
Or any comments?
So how are you guys doing tonight?
Enjoying the tour portion. What brings you
I'm
on?
getting feedback. Hang on.
Okay.
Yeah, I was wondering. We go through the whole tour. We're talking about a delay.
It's not coming on my end. You're not getting a delay or an echo on your end, John, are you?
No, I'm turning my mic off, so hopefully that'll.
I'll go ahead and mute mine too.
Well, we lost Sean.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe he'll just either come back or pop in the chat room again. So, do you have any thoughts on the Joshua passage?
Just there he is. Yeah, I've got a few, but I want to see what Sean wants to talk about.
All right.
Okay.
Hello. Goodbye. Hello. Goodbye.
If I wish I could spin around in my chair, or I'd choke myself on this cord.
Oh wow, that'd be, wow! Don't do that.
That would be entertaining now, wouldn't it? Would you laugh?
No, I'd be like, dude, you're gonna hurt yourself, man.
All right, is it there?
There you go. I can hear you.
What brings you on, Sean? Can you hear us?
He's having problems there.
I think so. Can you hear us, Sean?
Okay. I was going to ask about the 144,000. Going throughout the whole. Yeah, can you hear me?
We can hear you. Can you hear us now? We can't hear you. I think you might be having problems with his mic. Sean? No, are you able to hear us? Okay, so hey, Sean, if you have a headset and microphone.
All right. Well, I guess his isn't going to work. I'm going to, while you guys were doing that, I did find that document that I was looking for.
Good,
so I could pop this up. These were the meanings that I was able to figure out by doing a pretty extensive study on numbers in scripture and what they mean and things like that. So 333, so the number 3 equals divine completeness and perfection, represents God. 33 represents promise. 333 is a multiplied meaning of 3. Secular numerology characteristics. 3 equals Trinity, union of divine plus human manifestation, positive, negative, and neutral, blah, blah, blah. It signals this sign could be interpreted as a cosmic yes to questions you have asked or ideas you may have. That was what I came up with back when I did this. I can't remember what year it was, probably around 2007, I'm guessing. And 444, talking about multiplied meaning of 4, God at work in the earth through his covenant people. That's why I remembered it.
Okay. Sean said he's sorry he's never had this problem before. So, and when it comes to tech issues, I totally get it.
Oh yeah, we've definitely had our share of issues.
I know I have. See if I can get somebody else on. I'm gonna send Jonah a link, and hopefully she'll come on and ask a question. There's another question in from Lloyd for Brother Skiba. Where in the scriptures do you find that Israel in Egypt was afflicted by the first 3 plagues?
Where do I find that in scripture? Read the book of Exodus. Yeah. Just go.
It's in there.
Yeah, just go read the book of Exodus. When the plagues start, you'll see, what they experience.
Looks like you're looking for something there.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot that I was still screen sharing there. I was looking for an extended version of that document.
There's another question in there for I think we talked about it a little bit about Moses in the valley where Yahweh buried him, and Cott went ahead and looked in the New Testament, the Brit reading, and he said, where Michael fought over the bones of Moses, he said he's sorry for bumping ahead, and I know we touched on it at the beginning. Kind of curious that would also be the New Testament reading as well.
I didn't. I don't have audio set up for the New Testament reading, so people can go ahead and click on that link on the Virtual House Church page, and see if it does show up in there. Let me see myself. I got multiple windows open here as usual. That's in Jude, I think, is it? Yeah, there it is. Jude. Somebody was wondering where that is. Is that what the question was? Or were they stating? Yeah, if you're on the Virtual House Church page and just click on the New Testament passages right here, it will open up this page in Bible Gateway and scroll down to the book of Jude. Or does it? Oh, that's false teachers. Yeah, here we go. Jude 8-10. In the same way, these people who claim authority from their dreams live immoral lives, defy authority, and scoff at supernatural beings. But even Michael, one of the mightiest of the angels, did not dare accuse the devil of blasphemy, but simply said, "The Lord rebuke you." This took place when Michael was arguing with the devil about Moses' body. And the New Living Translation has that as a parenthetical. So, was Jude putting that there? Was it a translator putting it there? I don't know, but whoever wrote it there had an understanding of it. Like everybody knew, oh, okay, yeah, that's when, I remember that story. But where they're getting that story from, I have no idea.
Well, there's a lot of questions now popping up in the chat room, and
right.
I've sent the link out. I think they don't I don't know if they just don't want to come on or not. It'd be interesting. I'm sorry Sean had a problem, with the tech issues, but let's see. There's an easy question. Where can people find when you are doing seminars in Texas? And of course.
Oh, okay. Let me. I have to get a lot more intentional about this, but I do have a page that has the calendar on it for my speaking engagements, and it looks like I may actually be doing another seminar in Lubbock. We just did one. We did the Giant Sons of God, Sons of God, Giant Nephilim, whatever. Part 4 conference was the 4th year, just recently, not too just a couple months ago, I think. But Dr. Judd Burton just contacted me as I was getting on the plane to fly home yesterday and asked if I'd be interested in doing one in December. So I know he's trying to put one together. So that may be the next one that I do. But for people who want to know, my speaking schedule, if they go to BabylonRisingBooks.com, and in the top menu here, click on Book Rob. That would be to book me to speak in your town. If you're interested in having me come to your town, I just basically require that you have 30 people that you can put in a room and get my wife and I there. So pay for our transportation and a hotel room. And you, of course, have to host the event and all that stuff. I just come and speak, but I don't charge for speaking or anything like that. So you can go to that page, check it out, and John can help you guys out for he's hosted us, so he knows the deal on that. You can get with him for how to host an event if it's new to you. But if you scroll down, you'll see this Google Calendar. And right now, I don't have any more speaking engagements the rest of the year planned, but that's not to say that they couldn't pop up in the near future, like the one in Lubbock again. May come up for December. If it does, it'll be on this calendar here.
Oh, I know we're going to be going there to your calendar and looking at May, because John and I are going to be doing another conference probably in the Louisville area coming this May. So
setting up another conference for May? That'd be awesome.
Yes. We're going to do one every year.
Cool.
And you're top of the list. So
right.
We're going to be hitting that up pretty soon. Let's see. This is how I've learned. This is how I've learned about Rob. If you ask him to come and you want him to speak at your seminar, it's really easy. He just needs a way there and a room, and he'll be happy to do it. And however many days it is, it's really, he makes it really easy to get him on board. All it takes is a airfare or travel and a room, and he is set. He's low maintenance when he gets there. So
yes, try to be as much as possible.
Well, it's true, man. You're just a pleasure to be around, and you give so much of your time to people when you're there. As Patty and I, we've hosted 2 conferences with you there, and I think you enjoy sitting down after giving a presentation more than you do the presentation itself.
I do. Yes. In fact,
I think you dig that.
Oh, totally. And that was part of the deal with this Sukkot. Some people were feeling bad that, I wasn't going to be speaking. I said, no, that's just the preliminary right there, just to get people warmed up, the speaking part. I much rather enjoy hanging out with people at the table and talking, or in this case, the Sukkot at the campfire. I love that stuff. I mean, that's why I enjoy getting on the speaking circuit in the first place.
Okay, garage door. Let's see. Come through instead of both. All right. He's sure how to just have. Okay, we have somebody might be coming on. They asked for a link. So until they come in, there's a few more questions in the Google if you're willing to take them.
Yeah, we got about 25 more minutes. So let's go.
With your busy schedule, there's a question from Jonah, and I know you're awful busy with a lot of projects going on in the ministry. So when you see a need, and you've talked about this plenty of times, and you see a need and you're in that busy phase of your life and Yahweh has you in different directions, how hard is it for you to stop and actually or just know that there's a need there, that you need to stop what you're doing and tend to somebody?
Oh, well, I mean, that's easy. I mean, because I work for myself, I make my own schedule, and my only most of my own obligations are self-imposed, self-imposed deadlines and things like that. So, like, for instance, my uncle died, so, okay. I asked my mom, do you need me? If you need me, I'm here. I'm sure the people over in California will understand. And, mom's like, we got it covered here. There's nothing you can do really anyway, so, you've got an obligation, so go, so I did. I went, but I knew that I couldn't stay. I mean, I wanted to stay the whole time, but my family needs me, so come back early. So, that's pretty much the way it is. It's like if a need presents itself, obviously I set my priorities. Whatever takes the top priority gets shifted up on the list if it has to be. So I mean, I'm fortunate in the sense that I do work for myself, so I can make my own schedule.
Here's a question that comes from Mindy. And like I said, we've got a lot of new people into the chat room and they're asking questions. And this one, she says, it seems that people use the word Torah and law interchangeably in scriptures. And she says, but why would the entire first 5 books be considered the law, especially when there are parts of the Torah that reference the law, like it's only part of the Torah in Deuteronomy 31:26. It says, take this book of the law. Should we not use the Torah and the law interchangeably?
Yeah, that's one of those questions that's sort of, in some circles, a source of debate. The whole Bible is the Torah. Okay, but people always, throughout history have recognized that the Torah is the 5 books of Moses. Especially if you talk to a Jew. What's the Torah? It's the 5 books of Moses. Our Bible translates it as law, but as I understand it, the word really means instructions. So, even though a lot of the 5 books of Moses is storytelling, Paul tells us it's there to instruct us. These things happen to them to serve as examples for us upon whom the ends of the ages have come. So, even the stories are there to instruct us. But of course, we also have the laws, as in the do's and don'ts. Thou shalt and thou shalt not. And some rabbi at some point decided to count every time it says to do something or not to do something, and he came up with 613. That's I think sometimes when we hear it's rabbinic, we all just dismiss it. That's just rabbinic. But not all that stuff is bad. I mean, there are, we start getting into the Talmud and some of the things like that. Well, you start running into trouble, and in that regard. But somebody just taking the time to count every time God says do this or don't do that, I don't see anything wrong with that. So yes, it is rabbinic, but apparently, if you sit down and count, you end up with 613 times that you see that. Some of them, I've looked through it and I'm like, I don't know how they got that out of that. So, maybe it's something you have to be Hebrew or to understand. But as I've talked many times before, Yeshua couldn't even do all 613 because a lot of them are just for Levites, and he's of the tribe of Judah. Many are just for women. He's a man. Many are just for farmers. He was a carpenter. Many are just for kings. Well, he's not yet serving in the earthly physical capacity as a king. He's king of my heart, king of kings and lord of lords. I get that. But he's not physically ruling and reigning on this earth as an earthly king yet. So those don't apply to him either. So, and one of the guys that was at Sukkot said that he actually went through and counted up all the ones that we can physically do. We've talked about it here on the Virtual House Church. Well, what do you do, Rob? Well, the 10 Commandments, obviously, I do. Try to do anyway, as best I can. And thank God for 1 John chapter 2. It says, well, I'm writing these things to you so that you do obey the commandments. But if you fail, you have an advocate. Praise Yeshua. Thank you for being my advocate for when I screw up. Romans 8, there is therefore now no condemnation to those who are in Christ Jesus. Yeshua, right on. Awesome. Fall down, pick yourself back up again. Great. 10 Commandments, the feasts, the Moedim, the appointed times, keep those as best we can in the diaspora, not in Jerusalem, under the Melchizedek order, the seat, and the dietary laws are basically, where I'm at. But what this other guy pointed out, he says, yeah, but there's a lot of other ones too that are like, if you've got a roof, make sure you put a fence around the roof so your neighbor, your friends, when they come up there, they don't fall off. There are a lot of other little, like, just how to love your neighbor. I mean, it's loving your neighbor by making sure that it's safe for him to come over your house, and not fall off the roof. And he came up with, I think he said 103 or something. I could be wrong, but it was just over 100 that were, what can we do? Or as he liked to say, and I agree, what do we get to do? What do we have the privilege of doing? When you love God and you love his law, when you love Yahuwah and you love what he gave us, it's not burdensome. It's a joy. It's a privilege. We saw just in this portion here, you prosper, live long and prosper. That's what you get from obeying him. So, I'm interested in seeing the list that he came up with, that he's got. There's about 100 of them that, pretty much all of us could do. But going back to Mindy's original question, I personally do believe that when we say Torah, it applies to the 5 books of Moses, much of which is storytelling, but as Paul said, are there for our instruction. And that's what the word apparently means, is instruction. When it talks about this law, we talked about it in one of the previous shows that the 10 Commandments are in the ark. The testimony of the Torah, the rest of it, is sitting outside the ark. So when it says that I've written my laws on your heart, I think he's talking about the 10 Commandments. And the rest of it is, well, it says to be a testimony against you. And we had some interesting dialogue as to what that means. But I just basically take it to mean the rest of it is how it's an elaboration on how to do the 10.
Well, I've got a question before Samuel comes in. And by the way, it's good to see you, Brother Samuel. It's about the Sabbath. My understanding, of course, is right along the same lines as yours, where it's Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. And that's what we've been doing the last 3.5, 4 years. But when somebody says, well, our Sabbath rest is in Yeshua.
Mm-hmm.
So could that mean it be any day, or
no?
Would it be a sin to, okay.
Yeah. Actually, let me do a screen share here.
And I've heard that so many times.
Yeah. Well, that's based on, I believe it's Hebrews chapter 4, if I remember. If you go to my Rob's Channel website, robschannel.com, and in the top menu under Facebook Notes, go down to Ephraim Awakening, and that'll punch up a whole bunch of categorized notes from my Facebook channel. And if you go here and scroll down to Commandments, Sabbaths, and Feasts, there's one that says that deals specifically with that issue. It's right here, finding our Sabbatismos. And if you click on that one, it addresses that issue of Jesus being our Sabbath. I'm not going to go through it here just for the sake of time because we got like 15 minutes left. But you guys can click on that and read it, and it actually shows an error in translation. For one thing, in Hebrews chapter 4, it's not Jesus, it's Joshua. But in Hebrews 4, it says also, so then it remains for the people of God to keep the Sabbath. And the Amplified Bible clears it up a lot more. Again, I'm not going to read this, so you guys can go ahead and click on it and read it for yourself. There's quite a bit here to check out.
To keep it. Hey, Samuel, it's good to see you, brother. Got any comments or questions?
Shabbat Shalom, and great to talk to you both again, brothers. There is one question I have regarding, going back to the breastplate, the question of the breastplate that was raised earlier. There was something you said, Rob, that caught my attention just because I do have a past in a coven. I came out of a coven before I came to Yah. And I was wondering where you got or where you heard the idea that the stones on the breastplate lit up regarding what Elohim was telling Israel regarding the tribes themselves and to which tribe it was, because it does sound a lot like a Zoroastrian practice of gem scrying. If you're by any chance familiar with that, I was just curious if you're going to explain that.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly the source as far as where I got that information, but Satan doesn't do anything new. He's just a counterfeiter. So, if there's a counterfeit, that begs the question, what's the original? What is the original that's being counterfeited? So could it be then that the original is this whole thing that with the breastplate, and that's being counterfeited by the occult in a similar fashion? That would be the line of thought that I would probably go down. I'm just trying to get through the virtual house church here, trying to find where I have that. It's man, I thought it was in Leviticus, but it's in one of them that had the whole breastplate issue. I'd have to go through more of them. But I don't know if that answers your question or not. But I would tend to think that what you're talking about would be a counterfeit of the real deal.
Yeah, it does. And again, I was just wondering, namely, where you heard it from, just because, again,
Yeah, I don't remember.
I said, I'm used to all this from my former life before coming to Yah. So I was just curious, and I'll look through the Virtual House Church website myself, see if I could find it, because yeah, I really am curious to see where you found this from. And now I'll pop out of here and let whoever I don't know what his actual name is, but let the other person ask his question.
Samuel, it's always good to see you, brother. I'll talk to you sometime this week, man.
All right, no problem, John. Take care, and Shabbat Shalom to both of you.
All right, Shabbat Shalom, bro.
Genesis Restoration, you're on. Are you there? If you want to hit your mute button.
Unmute.
Let's see. Are you there? You have your mute button on. If you have a comment or a question for Rob, there you go.
Yeah, sorry about that. Thanks, John. I couldn't see where the mute button was.
You're like me, man. I'm sitting there scrambling every time I come on.
Yeah. Yeah, I got actually a simple comment about, you were just discussing the 613 laws.
Yeah.
Which I actually ran across a good presentation on it by Doug Hamp.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did the an overview on the 613 laws and where they came from.
Oh, wonderful.
And a lot of, yeah.
Recently?
That wasn't, yes, about a couple weeks ago.
Cool.
And it really explains a lot of the misconceptions about it. And I always wondered where those 613 came from.
Yeah.
A lot of the 613 are just things that we already do. You know, it's
yeah, just common sense kind of stuff.
Yes. Yeah. So and then some of them are things that are slightly misinterpreted by the by the Jews. They're remember some of the specifics, but as you go through the 613, you can kind of see how they took a little bit of liberty with some of the laws, them according to their view.
Yeah.
The laws are actually all coming from one verse. So if you know one verse, like 3 laws in one. Anyways.
Yeah.
So the actual number isn't actually 613 when you break it down. But either way, most of them are simple enough that anyone could follow, and it's not that burdensome. Just like the in the New Testament, I can't remember what scripture that is, but it says that his commandments are not burdensome.
Yeah, 1 John 5.
Yep. So I just thought I would get on and make that comment because I heard you were talking about it.
Oh, very good. Well, thank you. I'm going to have to check out that teaching. I know Doug's been doing a lot of stuff talking about this kind of stuff lately, so I'd be interested to see what he came up with.
Yep. Okay.
He's actually Genesis. He's done a really good job. I've kept up with it. He's been putting out a lot of really good. He's doing a debate coming up here. Did you know that, Rob?
No. Who's he debating now, and what's the subject?
It's over the law of Moses. Are we to keep it? And I think it's coming up in November. I can't think of the guy's name. It's going to be on at 9 in the morning. He's actually got a setting for it, and it's going to be streamed as well. So can't think of the guy's name, but if Doug has picked him out, then the guy's got to be smarter than the man he debated on Now UCTV a few months ago. I'd have to say.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I said it. I just stuck.
Nice.
John's gonna slap me down, but it should be interesting. So if you go over to Doug's page, you'll find it. I'm sorry, I had to get a dig in. I love the guy, but he just wasn't prepared and just wasn't ready for Doug.
Yeah. Let's pick the next person before you bury yourself any further.
Oh,
I get fired as co-host on.
I'm good at that. You know that. Genesis, Genesis, you got any more comments or questions for Rob?
No, not at the moment. No, that was it. I just wanted to make sure, I got that to you about the teaching.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on, and you got to hear me stick my foot in my mouth again. So there you go.
Yeah.
All righty, buddy. We're gonna see if anybody wants to come on. All right.
Man, this is driving me crazy. I've gone through like every link on the page so far, and I can't find. I know I have it somewhere on Virtual House Church. It has the breastplates laid out. Oh man, it starts to all blend into one teaching.
So you've been trying to.
Well, as we're talking, I'm multitasking, just kind of clicking link by link, trying to find the Virtual House Church episode where I have all the notes on the breastplate.
Let's see here. Garage Doors, he was trying to get into the link. He says, he's sorry, I still haven't been able to. I did a study of Jude 1:9, and it became clear to me that the body of Moses represents the law or Torah, as Yeshua's body are the believers. He said this was years ago, and at the time I couldn't see what the law had to do with the believers, but now obviously totally applies these past few years for me. You see a correlation there?
That would be an interesting take on it, but that would be taking it allegorical, where I typically tend to come from a position of taking it much more literally. Found it. Woohoo! All right, let me put this up here. Okay, so regarding the issue of the breastplate, if you go to virtualhousechurch.com and click, go down to the left-hand menu, click on Exodus Week 20. Apparently we had a fair amount of teaching on it here, looks like. And yeah, excellent resources for some things here. And this is the picture that talks about the third breastplate, or the third line of the breastplate. These three are missing from Satan's breastplate.
Yes, that's it. That's the teaching.
Yeah. So I'm trying to see what else I have on this page here. It's probably in the actual video itself, but it looks like it's Exodus Week 20. So people want to get into it a little deeper. Yeah, I did this video. Are you on the high priest breastplate? So
right.
Yeah, that's the one.
I thought that was very interesting. And what I took away from it was, Hazatan didn't see Benjamin. Therefore, he didn't see Paul going out to the
Ephraim.
Gentiles.
Yeah.
Ephraim.
Yep.
So what would you say to somebody? I know Lauren had mentioned this last week, Rob. How much time could you give the folks down in Australia if they organized a trip for you and Miss Sheila?
Oh man, I'd love to go to Australia or New Zealand or anywhere down under, as they say. Well, when we went to Cape Town, South Africa, I think we went for 10 days, I think. It really depends on the hosts, if they have the resources to, pay for our hotel while we're there. I know a lot of people sometimes will say, well, you can stay at my family's house or stay at my house, stuff like that. I appreciate the offer and everything, but I've done this enough to know that that doesn't always work out so well. And we, especially if I'm doing a lot of presenting, need our decompressing time to just kind of be alone and regroup. So I've just said, you know what, I got to make it a requirement that it's a hotel that we can go to. So, if people are able to get a venue, get the people together and, pay for our transportation there and a hotel for the duration of the time we're there, probably 10 days would be the max. 7 to 10 days probably. I'd have to talk it over with Sheila, to be sure. But, if we're going to go that far, obviously we'd want to spend a little bit of time there.
What I've noticed is at the conferences that I've been with you, and I know you've done, I don't know, you can't probably even count them anymore.
Yeah, I don't know.
That you spend from 8 in the morning almost to midnight, and because you're just talking to people. And then when we get back to the hotel, it's like all you can do is drag in
and
crash.
Yeah.
Just about you.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, nothing against anybody who's had us at their house. I mean, we've had some very gracious hosts that have, you know, opened up their home to us and stuff like that. It's just, you just kind of need that time to be alone, you know, and to kind of recharge. And so, you know, we've just made it a requirement for the hotel.
We've got 3 minutes left, and then we're going to close this out. I appreciate you. I didn't know if we were going to be able to do the show or not, Robin. I'm so thankful that you came on and led the virtual house church.
I'm excited that we were able to complete.
I'm very appreciative for you staying on. I know you got a long weekend ahead of you.
Yeah, I'm excited that we completed a whole cycle. You know,
and like
on YouTube.
I don't know where I came up with this. You know, this morning somebody asked me if I was okay, and I said I'm just as excited as Les Nessman during the turkey drop. I mean, I don't know where that came from. I've just been using it all day.
that one went right over my head. I don't even know who that guy is.
WKRP. You remember WKRP in Cincinnati, the show?
Oh, yeah, I never watched the show.
Les Nessman was the weather newsman, right?
He was the news guy.
He set up this elaborate scheme to drop live turkeys from a helicopter. He thought they could fly, and he's doing the narrative as he's watching these turkeys drop out of this helicopter, hitting car windows and people.
Yeah.
It's YouTube it. You got to watch it. It's a thing.
Okay.
But he was so excited before the turkeys started dropping out. I mean, he was just talking about it, just in excitement.
Turkey drop.
And then all of a sudden, they started shoving the turkeys out of the helicopter, man. And they were dropping like flies.
On that note.
I'm sorry.
Well, you know, okay. Anyway.
More useless information for you there.
More trivia, man. Dude.
Just talk to John.
Anyway. All right. On that note, awesome. Another awesome Shabbat, you know, and this is what it's about, smiling. You know, last week we were crying. This week we're smiling, you know, and that's what it's about, man. I mean, being real and spending time with people and sharing our joys and our sorrows and coming together, you know, to be there for one another. And, you know, I just want to thank everybody for coming and being with us here in the Virtual House Church. And, wow, man, next week's going to be exciting. Something new. You know, for some of you guys that are just getting into this, you're going to start over, go to Genesis, and, you know, you're welcome to go through the Virtual House Church. Well, we've got all the videos from going through it this year. And I made videos out of the audio teachings that I did in 2013. So that'll all be there. We'll come back for some fresh commentary next week. And then we'll be jumping into Joshua. And, you know, maybe we'll just figure, you know, 2 or 3 chapters, you know, at a time. Maybe we'll go over chapter 1 again, even though we did it today. Yeah, I'm excited, man. Good stuff.
It is. And like you said, we never know who we're touching when we come on and we're talking. And forgive me if I stick my foot in my mouth or I say something silly, but I do enjoy the Sabbath and I do enjoy the Torah portions with you. They're a lot of fun, and I learn a lot from the questions from the audience, and they get to interact with you. Next week, if you want to come on and chat with Rob, what I'm going to do is not put it in the private message. I'm just going to put it in the chat room, and you guys can jump on that way. A lot of people are having difficulties getting into that link, which I learned tonight. So we'll just open it up and making it open lines when you're ready.
Cool.
Next week.
Awesome. Sounds good. All right. Well, another awesome time together here on the Virtual House Church. Shabbat Shalom, everybody, and we'll see you back next week.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.